Today we'll be going over my main battle rattle, the LBV 88, kind of ALICE setup. And for me, I'm very quite biased towards the ALICE system, because it has been used for so long. Not just the ALICE, belt and all that, but other forms of load-bearing equipment is tried and true. And if there's one thing I've seen, the sustainment is kind of the name of the game now. And I love the micro rigs and all that. They totally have their purpose. But for me, and I think the scenario a lot of us find ourselves in right now, especially if you're watching this video, is that you need something that is everything. That is everything and can fit a variety of roles. Whoopsie. And kind of not just be that very specific scenario, kind of that all-in-one kit. I think everyone has kind of thought about it, and it's definitely something that's been on my mind for a long time. I've had this, the LBV. So what I mean by the LBV 88, the basically chest rig adapter to the ALICE system. That's the only difference. You can fit excuse me, you can fit 6 mags. Now 6 steel mags. It won't fit the P mags. Excuse me, just burping a lot there. I'm not going to edit that out, though. I don't have the time to or the skill to really edit very well. So we're just going to kind of have to deal with the burping. But if you just want to run 4 mags, you can then you can run your P mags or your Lancer, the Lancer mags. I think that's actually what I have. Yeah, those fit in there just fine in the single, but in the double, you've got to use steel. So keep that in mind. That's the main thing, and the main difference visually, but comfort-wise, the main difference is this thing right here. This low back pad is awesome whenever you're carrying a lot, especially if you have the mags on there. And I mean, if you're gonna have an ALICE system and you're gonna run a chest rig, you might as well just do the LBV 88 route. These things are super cheap. Like I was about to say, I personally had this for over a decade. Same thing with the belt and the pouches. I've just kind of gotten over the years. I think when I got the belt originally, I got it off eBay, and I can't remember if it came with the 2 mag pouches or the 2 water canteen pouches. I can't remember which one it came with, but it just came. It was really relatively cheap and effective. But let's kind of get into what I've done to it. We'll start down from my right and work to the left. But it's actually very simple, since it is just a combat loadout. There's really nothing special to it. But I will say, when you're doing any sort of load-bearing kit, you've got to make sure the weight is relatively evenly distributed across the entire belt. So whatever you've got on one side, you've got to match it somehow on the other side with a similar weight. It doesn't need to be the same thing. It's got to be similar weight. Okay, it is kind of easier if it is the same thing. Okay, I will say that. So starting down here, if you can see, the very, 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 very first thing is pistol mag. All right. Boom. Not very heavy, nothing crazy, and I do like all my mag. I know a lot of people are into the super fast mag pouches. I like all my mag pouches being able to shut and be sealed tightly, and not just with the freaking loops. Just keeping dirt and grime out of there. It could be a little bit faster, sure, but I want to keep my mags clean. Now this mag pouch is actually not a mag. I don't keep mags in this. This is a medical pouch that I've I've kind of made an insert, not really, it's just a plastic bag, but I keep a bandana, a little elastic, pressure bandage right there, nitrile gloves, some NAR compressed gauze, and then you can kind of see there's some duct tape in there, and then a emergency blanket. Okay, so pretty bare bones when it comes to a bleeding kit. You know, I don't know how to do a whole lot when it comes to medical, so I just honestly have what I know I can do, and I can stop bleeding. You know, I can stop bleeding, I can put a tourniquet on, I can do all, but I really can't do much else. So that's just what I have. And if you don't know what to do with a piece of medical equipment, probably shouldn't have it on your kit. But hey, if you want to carry it in the hopes that someone else knows how to use it, that's great. But what we got here, sidearm, don't need to take it out or anything. 1911. You know, I know a lot of people they shit on 1911, but I don't really care. It's the handgun I'm most proficient with. It feels the best in my hand. I definitely have the most rounds shot with this versus my Beretta. So this is what's going here. Okay. Oh, and forgot tourniquet right there. They fit very nicely. They don't go down, but they slide out relative, you know, with just a little bit of a tug. But moving on, aqua tabs. Okay, for a few liters of water. You know, 1 quart. I like the 1 quarts over the liters. It's just a weight thing. You know, I think there is a reason they went with a quart on each side versus 2 quarts, which is pretty close to a liter, if not exactly a liter, if I remember correctly. But I got a steel cup in there, you know, full of water, and this is water that I wouldn't drink, like pulling it out, unscrewing it, taking a sip, screwing it back. This water here is for filling up my Camelback. With these, and I'll get to, I have a bunch of general tips for load bearing, but main thing for your water, these are either full or empty, no in between. So, because if, say, I take, even without drinking it, like, you know, taking it out and sloshing it around, it makes a lot of noise. So make sure they're full to the brim, and that whenever you do empty them, you're emptying them completely into a Camelback. The Camelback isn't going to switch around because of the pressure made in the sack, and with it being, you know, probably compressed in your bag of something, or say Camelback, then bag over it, you're not going to hear that. But always leave this water too. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Here, this is just a first aid. When I say first aid, like an actual first aid. Let's see here, just in general things. So it looks like a little bit of gum. Okay, gum is pretty nice. Say you're on patrol and you've got a little bit of sore throat. Chew a little bit of gum, and you'll salivate, and it'll get rid of that dry mouth. Okay, also kind of keep your mind off of things as well, as you're chewing quietly, not like a freaking horse. But tissues, okay, self-explanatory, you know, when you're crying, all that, you know, at night when you're all alone. But anyways, lighter, always useful to have. Baby powder, infinitely useful to have if you're trucking around in the woods, okay, for your feet, your balls, your butt, mostly those things, not much else. Dude wipes, also gotta stay clean. If there's one thing I really kind of go overboard with, is with the hygiene in multiple areas of my kit. I've got some sort of hygiene in the form of these, especially these dude wipes. These are really nice. I like they come in individual packets as well, which make it super nice. You just carry a couple of those on everything. Stick them where, you know, in a little secluded spot, just so you have them, because you want to stay clean. Okay, I think like you will be smelled if you're out in the bush and you don't shower for a week. You are gonna smell like Sasquatch. Okay, you're gonna you don't want that. That's not a good thing for anybody, yourself mostly included, and everyone else. Here, this is, I would say, non-life-threatening bleeding. So some gauze pads, I got a bunch of band-aids, some X bandages, some more duct tape. Love duct tape. In the back here, and I guess, you know, cough drops in case you really got a bad cough. You gotta go to sleep or something like that. Imodium, very useful. Anti-nausea, I think, or anti-diarrheal. I can't remember which one it is. Yeah, anti-diarrheal, anti-gas. You don't want to get diarrhea out in the bush. You will die, or at least there's a much higher chance. That's what I think about. I think in here, just regular Tylenol or these white tabs. I think. And then, oh, it looks like some of those are Midol. Okay, Midol is super beneficial. It's all Midol is acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, and caffeine. So in the field, if you've got a little bit of a headache, take a Tylenol. Not only will it get rid of your headache, but I think each pill's got like 60 milligrams of caffeine, so that's going to give you a little bit of a boost of energy. You know, I'd rather have my, you know, depending on your liver and kidney function, be careful with the over-the-counter meds. You know, me, I think I'll be fine. But, oh, also, if I didn't say it, Benadryl or off-brand Benadryl. Yeah, that's it for this. And this is just not super essential stuff. If I need to get to it, I can. If not, it just kind of stays out of the way. Number one thing I don't like heavy butt packs on these. I've tried to use a heavy butt pack and it is just a pain. Like, I see the point why people do it, but I'd rather just have a smaller backpack, something that I can take on and off. So I really like this configuration with the IFAC, the first aid kit on the butt. Okay, it also doesn't get in the way of this thing. You know, I've seen people put little hooks and whatever to, you know, put like a poncho or whatnot. Anyways, going on, another water, full, pretty full enough to not make noise. And then I've got waterproof matches in a plastic bag in here. Last resort fire. Let's move this, sorry. On to those last little bit of stuff, and I'll give you the tips that I got from a book that I'll hopefully I'll remember the name of the book by the time I'm done talking. But anyways, going down next to the water is my radio pouch / general purpose. You know, really, only a few people need to have a radio. You know, your team leader or whoever is in charge. For right now, you know, that is, I am a person that needs a radio, so I've got it. You know, I personally find it to be a pain, but it is a necessity for what my role in my group. We all have bow fangs, and regardless of team leader position, you've got to have one. So I've got this as well. And, you know, if you look there, I've got an aux cord that fits into my ear pro. Okay, so that's highly beneficial. It's a simple way of comms, but a good way of comms, especially for a citizen and a civilian. You know, these Baofangs, I can't find it right now, but I have a wireless programmer, and that makes things infinitely easier, especially if you're trying to get like a bunch of people's radios synced up together in a pretty quick fashion. Okay, you plug it in, you have someone's phone, blah, 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 blah. It's infinitely simpler than the doing it all through the buttons, which I had to do the first time. Put in all the emergency channels, and it's not that it's a difficult process. It's just a lengthy process, and if you can make something easier and less time consuming, you should probably do it. But that usually just stays in there, because if I don't need it, I try not to carry it with me, because this is where I put my drone. Okay, that's really my main thing. But I'm still trying to, I've got a little backpack, not a super big backpack. I'm trying to figure out my bag to best fit with this kit, so I'm trying to figure that out right now. But drone is usually in here over the radio. But anyways, this is just I've not found any of these pouches yet. I've only found one of these. Okay, I think it's made by a company called like Fox Outdoors or something like that, but I haven't found any of these. They're pretty cool. On the side here, I keep my whistle. Okay, it's dummy corded to this thing right here. Okay, it is a bright orange, so only use emergencies only. Whistles are still pretty useful. They're being used over in Ukraine right now to organize attacks and just general signaling. And if you're injured, you pull that guy out, start whistling. Your buddies will, or someone will find you. Hopefully your buddies. But in this pouch here, and this also holds maps. I just don't have. That's excuse me. That's another thing on my to-do list. Making better quality maps versus the road maps that I have. So that's on my list, but maps will go in there. I've got a bunch of markers and pens and my binder. Okay, this also goes in here along with my radio, because it does fit when you have a belt. And you kind of lay it out like this. It's all scrunched up, and it gets, obviously it compresses, but when you wrap it around your body, it kind of expands horizontally. So this fits in there with the radio, and I'm kind of able to take it in and out. But everyone's got to have some sort of notepad. I like this one because it has the reference cards, and information is power. Okay, especially in stressful situations. Having I got some LACE reports, some salute reports that are laminated, so I can, LACE report, that's really, a current rundown. Write it out. Hey, take this to whoever's higher up or whatever. Salute, more something you'll take on a patrol. But good to have just a few of those laminated ones, and then some markers that will smudge right off if need be. But so a little bit better than just kind of wasting paper. Also, I got my defensive priorities checklist. I'm working on making just priorities in order of importance, just so to have that quick reference of, all right, we got a new command post, this is what we got to do. Establish local security, position key weapons, position other key assets, establish comms, blah, 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 all the way down. And once all that's, we got our defensive priorities taken care of, I'm going to have other things as well, logistical, offensive, all that fun stuff. Just have that quick reference. But every kit's got to have a general purpose, especially load bearing. But what else? I got a flashlight, one that clips on my hat, and yes, it is an O light, but don't worry, it's not an O light with an internal rechargeable battery. It's got an external rechargeable battery, so it's not going to blow up. And anyone that really says anything about, it's going to blow up, your phone's got an internal rechargeable battery, that's more likely to blow up than this. So worry about that. Signaling mirror, something I've got a dummy cord. But along with that, face camo. Okay, you've got to have these two things together, because if you can't see what you're doing, you're not going to do a good job with your paint, you know. But I like this just because you don't have to get your fingers all fucking gross. You know, you just have this and you get it on and all that stuff. Like, I just think this is a lot easier. You know, I do like the more traditional, where it's like the flip up kind of thing. You got the mirror and the colors, and you do with your fingers and all. Like, I get that because it's all in one, and it kind of gives you a second signaling device, and you'd still want another signaling mirror. So I get that, but not super important for me, I guess. I don't think I need 2 signaling mirrors. In this last thing right here, I keep an orange bandana. This is just kind of general purpose, but mostly signaling. It is a kind of a lighter orange, but still contrasts well with just about everything in nature. Bandanas are something you always got to keep, because I can use this for other things as well. You know, those high-vis like panels, those are great, but you could only really use that for signaling. So when you're looking at your items, try to get something that's multi-use as much as possible. That way you end up hopefully carrying less, or you know, simultaneously being more prepared. All right, the less you got to carry. I found the guys that are carrying the least stuff in the simplest way, they know what they're doing. Okay, the guys that are carrying everything in their mother's in their mother's closet, those guys, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're like, all right, I gotta have a thing for every situation. If I got a thing for every situation, I don't need to be trained in it all because I got the thing. Not gonna work. You know, you're just gonna be a big loot box. Moving down again, this ammo pouch is a medical pouch, and it's outfitted very similarly to that one. I think the only difference here is this one's got chest seals. So if I get more chest seals, I'll put some in there. Tourniquet, same place. And then again, pistol mag, 7-rounder for my Beretta, or not, sorry, not my Beretta, my 1911, because I like aesthetics, and 1911 has a certain aesthetic that I want to achieve. Looking cool is a big part of it. If you can't see the Desert Storm camo, LBV 88, you know, I'm really big into, like, you know, 1980s to 2010. That 30-year time period is definitely where I find the most interest in my kits. I don't know why. That's just what I really, really enjoy. I do enjoy, you know, the I guess you could stretch it back to Vietnam. You know, I guess that's not too far. You know, 1975, or, you know, when it ended, up until 2010. You know, all the new high-speed stuff is just not that it's not effective. Obviously, it's highly effective because that's what we've adapted to, and but I still find incredible value in this, especially as a Minuteman. You know, you don't necessarily need to have the latest and greatest thing. You know, for me, this, if you ever worn something like this, you'll understand that it feels great. Okay, and you can put this over armor. You know, the idea of I like the idea of a plate carrier because, you know, you just throw it on. It's a one deal shot. You got your armor, water, ammo, medical, boom, comms. You can still do that with this. You know, my plan, I'm gonna get some soft armor, some 3A plus soft armor that I can put a plate in the front. I'm gonna put a level 4 plate in the front, and then that's what I'm gonna rock. I'm gonna throw this over it, and bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to go. I just prefer that over plate carrier. Plate carriers have just always been a little uncomfortable for me. Maybe it's because I haven't sized them right, but oh well. On the side here, got one of these glow sticks that are battery powered glow sticks. I think you get like 60 hours of light time out of these. So I've heard they're kind of finicky and they're pretty shitty, but I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt until it breaks, and then I'll determine if it's crappy or not. But nice paste beads. These also glow in the dark. They also look cool because they are skulls. Again, looking cool is a part of it. All right. But then got the knife. The M3 bayonet is a shitty Chinese made one, but there's a rule, only a couple, maybe a few rules with knives. And this is in no particular order from any sort of knife experience, just off the top of my head. The main thing, your blade's got to be sharp. That's if that's number one. Know how to sharpen your blades. Handle's got to be sturdy. And for me, I've got to have something that will prevent my hand from coming up onto the blade. Okay, I know like a lot of those like fast blades or whatever, they don't have the little hand guard there. And to me, that's just a perfect opportunity for that to go into something, my hand to freaking slip up onto the blade. Not that it's ever happened before. I just like to have something. Okay. And your fighting knife should be a fixed blade, and have a decent sheath that allows it to not come out, even if it's not hooked up right here. But mag. That's really all the stuff. The only thing one last thing before I get into my just general tips for your load bearing stuff is I changed out the straps. So the LBV 88 comes with some really thick straps. They're not the most comfortable, at least for me. Maybe they are for you. They've got good surface area. The only thing is they're really thick. So if you want to wear a backpack or like a big bag, which I don't plan on wearing a big bag with this, but I'd rather have thinner straps, and these are far more comfortable. This is probably a cheap Chinese company. I don't know whatever this is. I got them off of Amazon. I know London Bridge makes an H harness like this, and all I did, it came with the exact same buckles and everything that are on the LBV 88. Hold on, let me grab it. This guy still got these. Just switched them out. And is infinite, and it's got a grab handle, which is nice. But this is infinitely more comfortable than what comes on them, especially now. These things are freaking old. Some of these are, 30 years, over 30 years old now. Not that they don't work, but if you can change them, I would. They're not the greatest. But that's the main modification there. Oh, and one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace these strings. I'm going to replace them just with some elastic cordage that's the same diameter, which I think this is 2mm cord. I think, whatever it is, it's going to be close. But like your regular like stretchy band cords that you would use like for mags and such, instead of something like this, just to give it a little bit more breathing a little more flexibility for whenever I do put it over armor. You know, this is fixed, it's not going to move anymore, it's comfortable, but I would like that little bit of flexibility if I need it. So that's definitely going to get switched. Let's see, going over, so I got these tips off of, what book is it? I might not get these words in the correct order, but I think it's the Recon Combat Manual, Vietnam Recon Combat Manual. I think that's what it's called. There's a lot of really good tips in there, and it's not like a it's not like a book. I you know, like it's more like lists than anything. It's not like really chapters of anything. It's just I personally, that's how I like to read things. I like to get the information, bing bang boom. You know, I don't really like to mess around with it too much, if possible. But going over these tips. Let's see here, making sure all your snaps and buckles are taped or secured somehow. We don't want any sort of rattling or anything loose. You know, like right now, this H harness just came in, so I'm still kind of getting everything adjusted, but you don't want this. All right, you don't want that. That's why I did put these there. But I would say whenever you get your stuff set in your buckles, like these metal things, okay, on the front and back, tape them, like right there, cinch it down, and make sure that it can't move, okay? You do not want this readjusting while you're in the shit. You want this to be secure, and immovable. You know, you still want to be able to adjust if need be, but once you set it, you're probably not going to need to adjust it too much, unless you go through an incredible weight gain or loss, you know. But let's not even, those are kind of what ifs that you shouldn't even entertain, and just get them fixed and set for you, so you don't have to freaking move it again. Okay, if you're gonna have to adjust anything, you're gonna have to adjust the belt size before this, or get a belt extender, which I have on the way. I think extends it by 5 or 6 inches. That goes on, you know, the male. It doesn't really the male or female side, but it makes it to where it can go over armor. Let's see, what's next thing? You know, another thing, and this is not my list, okay? These are, now I did paraphrase things, but for the most part, they're like 90% word for word from the Recon manual. Okay, so place your triangular bandages in AR mag pouches. So that goes along with your bleeding inserts. Okay, your bandages. These mag pouches are great. Okay, they've got the little plastic things on the side. They really hold their form well. They're rigid, and with the medical stuff in there, it just works out nicely, especially with the tourniquets on there. It's a nice little package, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. If there's one thing I've learned with kit, your vertical pouches are a lot easier to work with, and versus your horizontal ones. To me, it's skyscraper like logic. Okay, if I've got a bunch of vertical thing, like if I got one big horizontal thing here, well, I'm not gonna be able to fit a whole lot there. But if I've got a bunch of, you know, more vertical pouches, I'm gonna be able to compartmentalize really well. And if need be, and if I need to, I can take these medical things out and just put mags in them, and I can add 6 mags. I can take my water things out, and I can add almost 4 to 5 mags in each one of these. And granted, I hope I don't ever have to do that. That would be kind of heavy. That would be what, 6, 12, 20, it would be 22 mags in one kit. That's what you call fire superiority. That's what wins battles right there. But next thing, cut front corners of the ammo pouches 1/2 to 3/4 inch. Okay, so what they mean by that, and I haven't done it to these because I don't run mags in these generally, but cutting this right here, okay, about halfway. That way, because, okay, so watch, so whenever it comes up like so, see how it kind of maintains this like hood kind of fashion? So you don't want that, but if you cut this, it folds up completely. Okay, see that? So like as I try to bring this up, it doesn't fold out. It keeps this crease. It keeps this shape. But if I cut this like so, like about ½ inch, you know, it doesn't need to be all the way. You could probably go all the way up. I've done that with a saw pouch. I don't think it's close right now, but I'm sure I'll put it in another video. But you cut that so that when you're pulling up your mag, that it doesn't do this. Okay, you want it to fold flat up against you, get your mag and go. So highly benefit, especially if you're trying to do fast, something relatively fast with these mag pouches. That's what you got to do. You know, like I said, I haven't done them because my medical stuff is in there, and I've already got the 6 plus 1 in the gun. Mag should have pull tabs, self-explanatory. And for me, my pull tabs are spare pieces of nylon versus paracord. I like more surface area, and I've got more just scrap pieces of nylon. Use canteen pouches for mags. You know, they're great. Like I said, you can fit a bunch in here. You can fit 5 mags in here. All right. Always carry a fixed blade knife. Bada bing, bada boom. You should probably carry 2. You know, 1 on your person and a spare one somewhere on your bag, in your bag. Everyone needs basic survival items. Okay, remember guys, this is straight from the Recon manual. Okay, I paraphrased it, but this is what the guys were doing in Vietnam with this kind of kit. And it looks like we could be going back over that direction, so keep that in mind. Basic survival items, that's self-explanatory. Holy cow. Let's moving on. Smokes should be carried. Smoke grenades should be carried in your pack. That way, you know, I think it looks cool to have that kind of stuff on your person, but that's just stuff that can get snagged. That's why I don't like open pouches or open things. All right, like if you look at this kit, everything can get closed up. The only thing that's like arguably not it would be like, you know, my little light stick thing and my beads, but it's not going to do anything. But everything else can be closed and cinched down. And if I got to throw a poncho, if I got to crawl through something or go through brush, it's not going to get caught on anything, you know. Not like a smoke grenade would. And all you need is for that tab, or, you know, to be honest with you, I haven't worked with a lot. I haven't used too many other smoke grenades other than like the really cheap ones, like these Enola Gay ones, like so. But again, I think it's got a tab. Let's pull this guy out. All it takes, you know, this to be on your kit. I've got some tape on them so they don't come off. Let's say you don't have that. Okay, hell, that little tab. Oh man, I almost pulled that. How funny would that be? I live in like a 500 square foot apartment, so that would not be a good thing. But anyways, if that freaking thing gets caught on a branch, you're just gonna let everyone and your mother know where you're at. So keep your smoke grenades in your pack. If you've got to use them, it's not like a mag. It's not like oh, I gotta use it really quickly. It's not like Call of Duty. All right, if you got to use a smoke grenade, you probably have a slight amount of time. Camouflage all throwing items. That way, say you do throw that smoke grenade. I haven't done it to this. They can see the smoke, but they can't find the thing. Okay, so either cover this baby up with like 100-mile-an-hour tape, or just give it a good coat of green or brown paint, spray paint, Rust-Oleum. Let's see here. Check LBG daily. Load bearing gear. Sorry, I just used to seeing like LBE, but load bearing gear. So your battle rattle, checking it every day, making sure it's adjusted correctly, it's weighted proportionally, your water's full, your mags are full, they're positioned correctly, your medical stuff is taken care of, your sidearm is clean, your sidearm mags are clean and taken care of in full, you know, going through the steps. All right, with this kind of stuff, you've got to be like borderline fanatically religious with where everything is at and the condition of everything. Okay, that way you don't die. So long pouch on pack for radio antenna. So I've seen this. Now this is also not just this might be also some things for the ALICE pack, which I'm going to do a video on as well, which obviously goes hand in hand with this. I've seen where they in your ALICE pack you've got the radio pouch and all that stuff, but I've seen where they've just take a little piece of cloth and they run it along the side of your ALICE pouch, or sorry, ALICE pack, and that's where your antenna goes. You coax it, or you use a little coaxing cable, blah blah blah. You not the most important thing, you know, but you know, I think kind of goes, make sure your comm stuff is all set up and arranged for your stuff, your kit and your bag. Spray gear with insect repellent. I always get the name of the stuff wrong, but you can go to the farm surplus store and get like the industrial strength insect repellent and water it down, and that's going to last you a lot longer than getting like the store-bought like insect repellent for your clothes. I can't remember what the chemical is called though. Let's see. Carry indigenous poncho, jungle sweater, and rain jacket. Okay, so I'm going to grab these three things. So indigenous poncho, so something that is for your area. Okay, digital woodland for me. All right, there's the poncho. What was the next thing? Jungle sweater. Okay, jungle sweater for me. Would be an M65 liner. Whoopsie. This is probably one of the most useful things I've ever bought. I've used this so many times, and not just, you know, when I'm shooting guns, but like, or, you know, running around in my kit, just in general. This thing's great. Put it under or over your BDU jacket, and you're good to go. Okay, warming layer, you know, warming layer poncho. That's going to be beneficial. Okay, and then a rain jacket. So something like so, you know, in Gore-Tex. So you should have those few things in addition to your load-bearing gear, your web gear, your battle rattle, whatever you want to call it, your ALICE kit. You want to have that stuff. You know, I will say these Gore-Tex jackets are kind of thick. They're kind of hard to carry, but totally worth it. How I would, if it got really cold, you know, I've worn the Gore-Tex jacket. I've gone like long sleeve, like zip, quarter zip. That's, you know, very very thin as a base layer. The liner. This chocolate chip field shirt, and then my Gore-Tex jacket. I've comfortably been in, you know, below freezing temperatures, and it's totally fine. You're happy as a clam, and it's quite nice, because, you know, with this, these Gore-Tex jackets, they've got the zippered armpit things, so you can get nice air. And in the field liners, they've got the open armpits as well. Okay, got those things, and really, for a lot of people, that's going to be the extent of your cover gear you're going to want to carry with you. Use water. Okay, you got a rucksack. Use water on your rucksack before your belt. So like on my Alice bag that I'm going to do a video on, I've got 2 1-liter bottles. Okay, that water is going to get put in the CamelBak first before this water. Okay, think about redundancies and contingency plans. All right, what's the first thing you're probably gonna have to drop if you gotta drop something? If you're gonna have to drop something, you're gonna have to drop your bag. Okay, so don't think of your bag as like your last resort stuff. You know, we'll go into that in another video. But when it comes to water in your bag, use that first. That's why I do like having the CamelBak kind of separate from your bag. You know, you don't want to lose that, but I also see the benefits of having your CamelBak in the bag, so you decide. But again, use that water in your bag first before this stuff. Okay, this is last resort water. All right, hopefully you don't have to use this. You know, if you will go through 3 liters of water, and then say you put your extra 2 in there, you go through that, and you're going down to this, man, that's a hard day. You know, going through 6 liters of water, that's a lot of moving. Like, oof. If you normally drink, you know, pretty close to 3, if you're moving around, you know, just keep that in mind. Test your rucksack before every patrol. Is kind of going through your load bearing kit. You should be checking that every day, making sure everything's in the right place, everything is cinched down, nothing is loose. I like to do a jump test, a roll test. If not, you don't need to do that kind of stuff every day, but I say the jump test is pretty nice, something you can do every day. Just give it a quick up and down. You'll feel, not only will you hear anything, but you'll feel any discrepancies in your kit. Okay, if you're going up and coming down, that heavier side is going to be felt a lot better than just kind of sitting with it on. Let's see, you use waterproof bags for your stuff in your bag. Yeah, and that's the last one for these tips. And there's probably more for the bag, and I think there are more. I just haven't gone through the whole book yet. But waterproofing bags in your rucksack do 2 things. A, keeps things dry, obviously. So Ziploc gallon bags, like these are awesome to have. Just have a shitload of these. Secondly, if your bag goes in the water, that thing will float if everything is in a waterproof bag. That means your internal pocket and all the outer pockets need to have some sort of bag, and the air that's in those pockets will keep the bag up. And it'll also work as a flotation device if you need it. So I guess that's trifold, I guess. But yeah, that is, I think, everything for this 1.0, this first go at this kit. And it's really turned into something I enjoy. It's comfortable as hell to wear. It's got everything I need. When I say everything I need, everything I know how to use effectively. There isn't anything here that I don't know how to use or I haven't used in the past. And that's really the main stipulation for your kit. What have you used? What do you know how to use? What are you proficient with? And you should probably have that stuff. And if you want to have something that looks cool on your kit, you should probably get proficient at it or with it, whatever it is. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Hope you enjoy and have a good night.